16 of his 39 points in the fourth quarter, knocks down a three right there. He was 13 of 18 from the floor, efficient, 15 rebounds, 5 blocks, as the Spurs take game 3, 115-108 to take a 2-1 series lead. Spurs started the game on an 18-3 run. That was their largest lead of the game, and it was as if Minnesota would just not go away. They closed the quarter on a 19-5 run. They kept coming at him in the second half. It got down to 1 in the fourth quarter. The Spurs able to absorb it and hold off the hungry Timberwolves. Despite Anthony Edwards, he had himself a game, 32 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, and the Spurs win it 115-108, 2-1 series lead. Get some instant analysis. Welcome in CBS Sports basketball analyst Noah Bono. And Noah, as a certified ball knower yourself, Victor Wembanyama, I mean, you can appreciate what he did, the efficiency, and playing with 5 fouls there late in that game, able to score 16 of his 39 in the fourth on 13 of 18. What did you see? Because we continue to witness this young man just getting better and better every time out.
I saw the birth of the young star that we all expect him to be. These are the moments that we're all looking for from these star players, young stars that have the potential to be perennial all-stars, all-NBA guys. And in Victor Wembanyama's case, one of the greatest prospects of all time next to LeBron James. But the path that he could be on, assuming he can stay healthy during the duration of his career, this is the birth of that. This is where players go from boys to men when it goes from the regular season to the playoffs. Victor Wembanyama drops his second career game with 30-plus points this postseason, just his 7th career playoff game, and he's putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers, 39 and 15. I mean, those are ridiculous numbers. And then the 5 blocks. It wasn't 5 assists. It was 5 blocks. I'm more than impressed in what we saw from him, but I can't say that I'm surprised, especially as he gets deeper into this playoff run. The experience and the repetition from these big, high-stake basketball games. I would say the thing I am most surprised is that this came in game 3, his first real test on the road. He only played 1 road game in Portland because of the concussion in game 3. So this was really his first test in a big-time hostile road environment. And I thought maybe game 4 would be the one where we really saw him burst out. I thought Minnesota would win tonight. San Antonio would win game 4. Now I think it might be the opposite. But he came ready to play from the moment this game started, and then he finished it off the way you want your star to finish it. He was phenomenal.
Wemby playing in his first postseason, 22 years old. He was unanimous Defensive Player of the Year this season, led the league in blocks for a 3rd straight season. Look, there was a moment in the 3rd quarter, take you back, where he's getting held by Rudy Gobert, and his jersey gets pulled by Anthony Edwards. And he's like, you're going to make a call here or what? And even with all of that, he's playing with 5 fouls. And as you said, we're witnessing the birth of a superstar. And we know that this is the face of the league. Like, even Anthony Edwards said it himself when they asked him. He's like, no, he's the face of the league. When you're able to see him overcome that, he's getting held, his jersey's getting pulled, and he's able to get numbers in the 16 in the fourth quarter, that just shows you right there the leader that he's becoming.
Absolutely. I mean, he's been a leader since the moment he got into the NBA, and you can hear him off the court and in moments in practice and, even in fundraising moments off the court, away from his team. This guy is born to be a leader. He understands emotions. He understands the moment. He's very self-aware. So I don't really think, there's another thing about him that makes him great on the court that doesn't surprise me, because when you hear him talk about how, it's harder work for him to hide his emotions and comments like that, it all translates to the basketball floor and his emotional maturity. And, it makes up for the lack of maturity he may have in these type of moments. And we watch the playoffs, and I think that this stands out the most in the playoffs is a team takes after the identity of their star player. And I think that you can see the San Antonio Spurs rallying around a guy like Victor Wembanyama and taking on the identity that he brings to the group, that he obtains himself. And it feeds off, the rest of the guys feed off this to such a great extent. And, it's no different than what you've seen with a LeBron-led team and the leadership and the vocalness of him. And then you go to a Kevin Durant-led team and you're kind of like, there's a little distance. There's not really much going on here. I don't know, is there much connectivity here? Look at a Victor Wembanyama-led team. I know we only got 7 games in the postseason with it, but I mean, it's only going to get scarier and scarier and scarier as he continues to get more reps, more mature, more games under his belt, more playoff experience. This is literally first run at it, and he looks pretty damn good. It's pretty scary for the league.
As you know, the Spurs got an assist from one of their legends, the Hall of Fame coach, 5-time NBA champion Greg Popovich, sitting in during a film session after they lost Game 1. Noah, what do you think the Spurs learned as they have executed to perfection, near perfection here in back-to-back wins?
I think they were reminded more so than learned their depth on this team is so vital. Like when Devin Vassell is knocking down shots to kind of halt some of these Minnesota Timberwolves runs, big deal. When Dylan Harper is coming over on the weak side to block a shot and guys are fighting for the loose ball off his block shot and they somehow can come away with it. And then obviously what Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox bring to the table, the depth of this team is what makes them. And when Luke Cornett can come in the game and give you, 5 to 8 spot minutes to just relieve Wemby, who played 36, 37 minutes tonight, I think they learned and were reminded, hey, guys, we're one of the deepest teams in the league, just like Oklahoma City. One of the reasons we've gotten here is because of our depth. We can bring our second overall pick rookie off the bench, and our net rating is a plus 21 when he's out on the floor. Like, we're deep. We got bodies. We got people we can depend on. And I think that Coach Pop probably brings them in a session like that and can pinpoint some certain moments, but probably can help get into the mind of De'Aaron Fox of, hey man, you're De'Aaron Fox. You have the nickname Swipe-a Fox because of how fast you are. Go downhill, put pressure on the rim. And I think we saw a lot of that tonight translate over. And then again, guys playing to their strengths. So I don't think it was much of a learning lesson. I think it was a reminder of, hey, this is the team we've been all year that won 60-plus games. Let's go out and show it some more versus a depleted Minnesota team dealing with a lot of injury.
Spurs have now won 3 straight playoff games on the road for the first time since 2016. Adds up here to a 2-1 series lead. Noah Bono here with us on CBS Sports HQ. Noah, thanks. So the Spurs in control, up 2-1. As you take a look at the Timberwolves when trailing in the best of 7 series, down 2-1. They've never won a series in franchise history. So not looking good right now, but perhaps they can change the course of history. Game 4 back in Minnesota on Sunday.
Well, San Antonio absolutely destroyed Minnesota in Game 2, winning 133-95, and the 38-point loss was the largest postseason loss in franchise history for Minnesota. So how did veteran Mike Conley digest it all? Take a listen.
I've been in that locker room before, and you come out, with a whole nother mindset and a whole nother motivation. And then it flips. They beat us this way, we go home. Now we're the ones who are going to be sitting for 2 days, having to, hear all the things that we're terrible at and all the things that we can't do anymore. And we have to go out there and, prove it and show it at home. So ultimately we came and got what we needed. We got 1 game. Now it's time to protect home court.
Are you ready to up your minutes and start by Game 3?
That's not up to me. Yeah.
Do you feel physically ready for the minute total to go up if that?
Yeah, if it's required, whatever's required, I'm willing to do it.
And Minnesota head coach Chris Finch was asked pregame Friday about Anthony Edwards being ready to start, and he said, quote, he's getting there. Meanwhile, Ayo Dosunmu, he will be a game-time decision for the T-Wolves. And listen, Minnesota, they haven't been bad on the road this postseason, but they've been invincible at home. At least, it's a small sample size. But you look at how their opponents are scoring much more on the road compared to at home for the T-Wolves. Time now to welcome in CBS Sports NBA analyst Noah Bono. And Noah, Minnesota played with little juice and energy in Game 2. Shots not falling is one thing, as you know, but their defense, very underwhelming. So what are you going to be paying attention to for them to bounce back and go up 2-1 in this series?
Yeah, their shooting really took a dip, and that kind of happens in those desperation games when the home team goes down 0-1 in the series. So Minnesota kind of had the odds stacked against them. I think today you got to lean into the entirety of your group shooting better from the three-point line. Easier said than done. They're shooting just 33% from the three-point line as a group this postseason. The other thing that Minnesota does really well is they're a really good offensive rebounding team. They're averaging about 12 a game in this postseason, which is in the top half among the rest of the playoff teams. I think if they can lean into that physicality and like with Wembanyama specifically to push him off his spots and get a bunch of offensive rebounds like they're accustomed to doing with the way they physically play, create second chance opportunities. There's nothing more demoralizing for a defensive group that gives up an offensive rebound, watches you spray it out for three, and then sees you hit that second chance shot that you just got. And I think that that can swing a lot of momentum for Minnesota. So I would really focus in on the offensive glass tonight in particular.
Yeah, so that's important, but also Jay McDaniels, arguably their best defender, he has to stay out of foul trouble because in game 2, he picked up 5 fouls. So when you have your best defender on the bench for the majority of the game, it's going to hurt your chances to be able to win. Now, you brought up Victor Wembanyama, right? He didn't have 12 blocks, right, like he did in game 1, but he did put up 19 points on 46% shooting to go along with 15 boards and 2 blocks. And no, he's doing something historic almost every game. Is he exceeding your expectations for his first postseason run? And if so, how?
I don't know if he's exceeding my expectations. I think he's kind of right where I would expect him to be. Like the way he debuted against Portland was pretty impressive. It was unfortunate when he went down with the 50-50 concussion. Not sure what that really was. He's had some moments, right? He had the 12 blocks, which was a playoff record. I think we all went back and watched the tape and noticed that not all of them were blocks. That doesn't negate the performance that he had and the impact he had defensively. And then coming back and bouncing back in game 2. I would say the minute thing on his side is not really working in his favor. Playing 40 minutes in game 1, 5 of 17 from the floor offensively, you could see how much he was really hampered down the stretch when he got the ball in that last possession and immediately threw it back to Dylan Harper, wanted nothing to do with it because he was so tired. So playing 40 minutes in a game, that's the most he's ever played in his career. That's a big thing to get used to. And when you're asked to play big playoff minutes, now you're going to be asked to play big playoff minutes on the road in a hostile playoff experienced environment in Minnesota. They've hosted back-to-back Western Conference finals. Like, this is going to be a different experience. This will be the first time he's ever really tested on the road this postseason. Yes, they played Portland on the road twice, but Portland's nowhere near the team that Minnesota is, and this is going to be a way different environment, much more hostile and ready for the moment that I think Wemby is really going to have to meet his match. But honestly, you asked me about Wemby. I'm going to really quick give you another name. It's got to be De'Aaron Fox, too. He was bad in game 1, 10 points, 6 turnovers. This man is making $229 million over the course of 4 years when the Spurs extended him after trading for him. He needs to play good. There is no other way around this for De'Aaron Fox. So he's got to be there to help out Victor Wembanyama. He's kind of lucky Stephon Castle has been this good this early because he's bailed him out of some situations. So I think you really got to focus on the Fox side of this as well to be that 1-2 punch with Victor Wembanyama.
And not just Castle, Noah. Okay, Dylan Harper, he bailed him out, sometimes, right, in that Portland series. And De'Aaron Fox did have his moments, but you want to see that consistently for a guy who is making that much money. But on the other side, for Minnesota, just quickly, what do the Wolves need to do, specifically Rudy Gobert, to contain Wemby? Because you're not going to be able to shut him down in every area. But it is a good sign, though, if you're able to limit him in a couple areas.
One of the things that scares me the most about the Timberwolves with anybody they're matched up against, and this clicked in my brain last year when they dominated the Los Angeles Lakers in the first round, is their physicality and just how tough their entire group is. It's not like you look up and down their lineup and go, oh, yeah, Julius Randle, he's tough, and Jaden McDaniels. No, every guy on this Minnesota team is tough. Like that, I wouldn't want to be guarded by them. I would be frustrated that anybody that's matched up with me is my defender. Like they pose that many problems, and they're that annoying. They're that pesty. They don't care about getting up in your grill. And I think that that's everything that they're going to put together from a Rudy Gobert standpoint and Julius Randle matching up against Wemby. Push him off his spot. Make him uncomfortable. Get him off the block. Like, Wemby's big and tall, but he don't have the width to him, right? Rudy is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, and he's strong. Do we not remember what he just did to Nikola Jokic in the first round? Made everything uncomfortable for one of the most efficient players in NBA history. Like, I don't, if you can do it to Jokic, you can do it to Wemby. We saw him do it in game 1. The Spurs got away with only playing Wemby 26 minutes in game 2 because it was just such a ridiculous blowout. I think the Spurs really got to be careful when they get Wemby more and more minutes, because we saw how that impacted him in game 1, and he's going to have to play big minutes as these games become closer and the series get longer.
Right, because if they want to win an NBA championship, he's going to have to play those big minutes, because it's not going to be a blowout every single time, especially when you get to the conference finals and the NBA finals. Now, San Antonio, Noah, is favored by 4.5 in this game. Are you going with San Antonio to get 2 straight, or do the Wolves find their mojo again and get the W to go up 2-1?
I'm not going to doubt Minnesota here. They took game 1 because they were just ready. And I thought maybe they would take game 2, but I did predict that this would go back to Minnesota 1-1. And I think that the hostility in this environment tonight, being, like I said, Minnesota, they've been in these postseasons the last couple of years with Ant running the show. I know he's not 100%. He's played the least amount of games in his career through his first 6 years. He only played 61 games this year. He's had a knee, an ankle, an injury, a foot, or a hamstring, all sorts of different injuries hampering him coming into the postseason, then obviously the hyperextension. I don't know if he'll start tonight. I doubt he will. He wasn't great in game 2 with the double teams, but he was great in game 1 when they needed him to be, and so was Julius Randle. And if Jaden McDaniels, you mentioned it before, can he stay out of foul trouble? That big 3 really knows what they're doing. There's such a connectivity between these guys, and the rest of Minnesota feeds off of it, that I think it's going to be hard for San Antonio to come in here and steal a win. Now, I'm going to predict again. I think this series goes back to San Antonio 2-2, but I'll take Minnesota in game 3 solely off of the playoff experience that we're going to see tonight, and the fact that they're not going to get stood up and blown out in a second game after that embarrassing game 2 performance. They're going to come with a little bit more urgency tonight because they know how important it is to get this one at home. Most teams win game 3 in a series, I think it's close to 90% end up winning the overall series. So Minnesota knows what's at stake tonight.
All right, so Minnesota knows what's at stake, and Noah is going with the T-Wolves to find their groove once again. Noah
I'm
Ball.
done doubting them.
Hey, that's smart. Hey, that's smart, right? Because we doubted them against Denver, and we saw what happened. We looked like Bobo the Clown, okay? Bobo the Fool. So we're not going to do that again. Noah, always appreciate the insight, man. Take care.
Appreciate it.
So tip-off from